All right, 2 Samuel 15, let's call this one Good and Right and subtitle it Absalom Rises, because this is a chapter in which Absalom is going to take advantage of his reconciliation to his father, and he is going to accumulate some stuff. And it's not just any old random stuff, it's stuff that's designed to get him what David's got, and that's the throne of Israel. And so what he is going to do is buy himself a chariot, and he's also going to buy himself a 50-man entourage, and he is going to get up early in the morning, and instead of studying and understanding what it actually means to be a king, he's going to get out front and start politicking with anybody who's coming to David with a dispute that needs resolution, and he's going to intercept them, and he's going to tell them that, oh, it sounds like your case is right and just, but there's really nobody to hear your case today. If I were king, however, I'd really want to help you out with that. And so after, ironically enough, 4 years of doing that, he is going to have just about all Israel leaning his way, understanding that he's not actually rendering verdicts in cases. He has the luxury of telling everybody, whether they are pro or con, for or against a certain issue, that they're all right. And of course, in a situation where everybody is given someone else to blame, over 4 years, even a just king is going to start to look a little bit shady. Because why? He has to render actual verdicts. And so anytime two people on opposing sides of an issue come before him, he is going to, as a just king, have to render a just verdict, which typically is going to give him a 50-50 chance of not being liked by somebody every day of the year, when Absalom simply has the luxury of promising what he would do, which is, again, telling everybody they're right and essentially giving them all someone else to blame. And oh, that sounds so similar, especially with the time frame being 4 years, just as we have in our modern political system. In a society where we are more and more fed someone else to blame, everyone loves to hear it's not your fault, and understand how that goes back to exactly what we seem to be seeing here in Israel, where Absalom seems to come to power by essentially telling everybody it's not your fault. And so even though the Bible takes pains to say that David was actually administering justice to everyone, Absalom gets to politic his way into making his dad look like the heel. And so what ends up happening is, in the context of already having done something unjust, it's going to make it more likely that Absalom's complaints against his dad are actually going to stick, which is why it's so tragic when we have worked to build a reputation for doing good, the damage control we have to do when we screw that up with mistakes. And it's as we mentioned before in some previous lessons, it can be a long road back to recovery, but it doesn't mean that your fundamental character has changed. And to the degree you have built your character on integrity, the upside of this chapter is going to be that even though David is going to be chased out of his own kingdom, the people who genuinely like him for being a decent man are going to show up at this time, as he is going to lose some friends, but he is going to gain others. He's going to lose his son in Absalom, who's now going to want his throne, but he is going to gain the priests. And he's going to see that the priests are willing to risk their lives to stay with him, even though he's suffering for his sins. Likewise, foreigners, a man by the name of Ittai, a Gittite, even though he seems to have only recently come to Israel, he's going to seem to respect David enough to risk his life to be chased out of his home and his place in Israel with David, not necessarily knowing where they'll end up. And then finally, one of David's close friends. David's going to be blessed to find out that his close friend Hushai is actually a friend, when he is going to be willing to follow David into uncertainty as well. And so even though, just as with David, we're going to find times in our life where we're going to get the chance to screw up, one of the advantages to leading a life that's based in truth is the truth can get you locked out of a lot of things. But ultimately, if you don't tell the truth, it's going to be hard to know who your friends really are. And so even though David here is suffering for his sins, the fact that he's led a life dedicated to truth is going to mean that those who are showing up loyal to him at this point aren't loyal to him because they're intimidated or attracted to his power. He's losing power now. The people that are sticking with him are the people who are willing to risk their own lives to support him because of his integrity. And so, as we often say, God's best to you as you go forward in him, especially insofar as you are trying to maintain integrity. May God compensate you for the things that you've lost in maintaining your integrity by giving you the support of people you might have never expected to risk themselves to stick by you in your time of need.